Have you ever seen something so pure, so unexplainably powerful, that it shifts your entire understanding of hope? This story begins with despair, but ends with something extraordinary. And at the heart of it all, a baby, a dog, and an impossible moment of healing. It was a quiet spring morning in Willow Creek, the kind of town where everyone knew your name and the sound of wind through the trees was louder than traffic. Life moved slowly here, except for Anna Blake's. Ever since her son Jacob was born, her world had become a blur of hospital visits, sleepless nights, and quiet prayers whispered into silence. Jacob was born 6 months ago, a beautiful baby boy with chestnut curls and warm, searching eyes. But within weeks, the joy that had filled their home was slowly replaced by fear. Jacob wasn't moving like he should. No kicking, no grasping, just stillness, an eerie, heartbreaking stillness. Doctors called it spinal muscular atrophy, SMA type 1. A rare and aggressive condition that slowly robbed babies of the ability to move, breathe, or swallow. Prepare yourselves, the doctors had said. Most babies with this condition don't live past 2 years. Anna refused to accept that. Every day, she clung to hope. She sang to Jacob, talked to him, played soft music in his room. Her husband, Eric, worked long shifts to cover the medical bills, often coming home with tired eyes and shoulders heavy with invisible burdens. Together, they tried to build a world full of love around Jacob, even as their hearts quietly cracked. One late afternoon, Anna sat beside Jacob's crib, gently stroking his cheek. The sun filtered through the curtains, painting golden streaks on the walls. Jacob blinked slowly, his tiny chest rising and falling with soft, labored breaths. Then there was a bark. Sharp. Urgent. Persistent. Anna turned, startled. At the door stood Max, their golden retriever puppy. He'd only been in the family for 2 months, a gift from Eric's sister who thought Jacob needed a companion, even if the baby couldn't play with him. Max had quickly become a fixture in their lives. Gentle, loyal, always staying close to Jacob's crib, as if he sensed the fragility of the life it held. But today, Max was different. He barked again, eyes wide, tail stiff, staring at Jacob with the intensity of a sentinel. Anna stood quickly and rushed to the crib. Jacob's eyes were closed, he had drifted into sleep. But Max didn't stop barking. Max, hush, she whispered. He's finally sleeping. Max whined and scratched at the side of the crib. Then he did something he had never done before. He jumped up and nudged Jacob's blanket aside with his nose, gently pawing at the baby's side. Anna's heart froze. Jacob, she said, reaching down. She touched his cheek. It was warm. His chest still moved, but very faintly. Something wasn't right. She grabbed her phone and called the emergency line. Max was now circling the crib anxiously, whimpering. The paramedics arrived within minutes. By then, Jacob was completely unresponsive, his breathing dangerously shallow. The ambulance roared toward the hospital as Anna held her son in her arms, tears spilling down her cheeks, Max barking from the front porch, refusing to be left behind. At the hospital, chaos blurred her vision, doctors, nurses, bright lights, machines beeping. They stabilized Jacob, but the prognosis was grim. He fell into a deep sleep, almost like a coma, the neurologist said. His condition is progressing. We need to prepare for the worst. Anna couldn't hear the words. All she saw was Jacob's little face, pale and peaceful under a sea of wires and sensors. She sat by his bed, holding his tiny hand. That night, Max lay curled on the hospital floor, refusing to leave. The nurses allowed it, something about the look in his eyes. As if he understood something no human could. And then, something happened. Jacob moved. Just a twitch. A finger. Then a second. Anna gasped. "Eric," she called, shaking her sleeping husband. He moved. His hand, he moved it. The doctors rushed in, checking the monitors. Could be a reflex, they said. But it wasn't. The next morning, Jacob opened his eyes. Then he blinked, slowly, deliberately. His gaze moved to the side of the bed, where Max sat, head resting on the sheets, eyes locked on his. Jacob smiled. It was the first time Anna had seen her son smile since he was born. The hospital room fell into an eerie silence as Jacob's smile cast a ripple of shock through everyone present. For months, doctors had insisted he would never react, never move, never show signs of awareness beyond involuntary reflexes. But this was different. Anna sat frozen beside the hospital bed, her fingers trembling as she touched Jacob's hand. His fingers curled slightly around hers. It was weak, but it was real. "He's responding," she whispered, a mix of awe and disbelief spreading across her face. "He knows I'm here." Max let out a soft bark, his tail thumping gently on the hospital floor. Dr. Hayes, the lead neurologist, was already running tests. "His vitals are improving slightly. Could be temporary, but we need to observe him closely." "No," Anna said, her voice firm for the first time in weeks. "This isn't temporary. Something's changing." Max remained at Jacob's side like a guardian angel. He refused to eat, sleep, or leave the baby's bed for even a second. One nurse joked that Max had taken over as head of security for the pediatrics wing. But no one dared to move him. Even the most skeptical staff could see that Jacob responded to Max. On the third night in the hospital, Anna watched as Jacob moved his eyes toward Max each time he barked or shifted. "Do you think he's trying to communicate with him?" Eric asked, his voice laced with both wonder and exhaustion. "I don't know," Anna replied. "But Max knows something. He knew when Jacob was in trouble. And now, it's like he's guiding him back." That night, as Jacob slept peacefully, Anna recalled something she had almost forgotten. During her pregnancy, Max, then just a small puppy, had started lying near her belly every night. He'd become agitated a few weeks before Jacob was born, barking suddenly during the night, pawing at her stomach. The vet had said he was probably just playful. But what if Max had known something was wrong before Jacob was even born? Dogs had been known to detect seizures, cancer, and even heart attacks. Was it really that impossible? She looked at Max, who now lay with his paw gently resting on Jacob's arm. His ears twitched each time Jacob exhaled, as if monitoring every breath. "Maybe he's not just reacting," she whispered. "Maybe he's part of the cure." 2 days later, something even more miraculous happened. During a therapy session, Jacob moved his legs. It was just a slight twitch at first, but when the therapist placed a toy near his feet, Jacob wiggled his toes. Tears streamed down Anna's cheeks as the therapist gasped. "That's not supposed to happen," she murmured. His chart, he was fully paralyzed. Eric, standing behind the therapist, covered his mouth in disbelief. Is this real? Max barked twice, tail wagging. Jacob smiled again. From that moment on, it was as if a spark had ignited inside Jacob's body. His improvement was slow, but it was undeniable. Doctors could no longer explain what was happening. The hospital staff began calling Max the miracle pup. Word spread quickly. First, it was the local news. Then, national media caught on. A loyal dog helps paralyzed baby heal, one headline read. Golden Retriever becomes baby's lifeline, said another. People from all over sent messages of hope, prayers, and stories of similar experiences. Max became an internet sensation. But to Anna, he wasn't a celebrity, he was family. One reporter asked Anna, "Do you believe Max healed your son?" She paused. "I don't know if he healed him. But I know he protected him. He kept him alive. He saw something none of us did. He never gave up, and neither did Jacob." As Jacob continued to improve, gaining the ability to move his arms and sit with assistance, doctors began to rethink their prognosis. One even confessed, "This is the first time I've ever hoped I was wrong." 2 weeks after Jacob's return home, Anna received a letter from a neurologist in Switzerland who had heard about their case. He had studied canine-assisted therapy for years and believed that certain dogs could stimulate neurological responses in infants through vibrations, sounds, and emotional bonding. It is possible, the letter read, that the dog's consistent presence, tone, and movement created enough external stimulation to activate parts of Jacob's nervous system that traditional medicine could not reach. There is still so much we don't understand. Anna stared at the letter for a long time. Then she looked at Max, curled beside Jacob as the baby napped, his tiny hand resting on Max's golden fur. "What you did," she whispered, "wasn't just instinct. It was love." The news of Jacob's steady recovery sparked not only public fascination but also a deeper curiosity within the medical community. Doctors and therapists now approached his case not with pity, but with awe. Conferences discussed his progress, and emails from researchers poured in. But in the middle of it all, the baby and his dog remained blissfully unaware of their fame. Anna's living room slowly turned into a cozy recovery haven. Therapy mats replaced the coffee table, colorful toys scattered the carpet, and soft music played in the background during Jacob's daily exercises. And Max was at the center of it all. Every day, he would lie beside Jacob as he practiced moving his limbs. When Jacob managed to close his fingers around a small rattle, Max let out a low, happy whimper, nudging Anna's hand as if to say, "See? He did it." One afternoon, Dr. Hayes, the neurologist who had been skeptical at first, visited their home for a follow-up. He knelt beside Jacob, who was sitting upright with support, holding Max's ear and giggling. "I've never seen anything like this," Dr. Hayes said quietly to Anna. "It's as if he's developing a new connection between his body and brain, triggered by Max's presence." Anna smiled. "It's not science, doctor. It's love. Max has been with him from the very beginning, through the pain, the silence, the stillness. He was his voice when Jacob had none. His movement when Jacob couldn't move." The doctor glanced at Max, who returned his gaze with calm authority. "If I hadn't witnessed it myself, I wouldn't believe it." As the weeks passed, Max began to act more like a caretaker than a pet. He would bring Jacob toys gently in his mouth, place them by his side, and even nudge him softly when it was time for therapy. If Jacob cried, Max would curl around him like a protective blanket. When Jacob laughed, Max wagged his tail in rhythm. And slowly, Jacob started to sit up on his own. Then came the day when he reached for Max, fully, without any support. Anna and Eric, standing nearby, burst into tears. It wasn't just movement. It was connection. Intent. Purpose. The child who wasn't supposed to move, was reaching out for his best friend. That night, as Anna tucked Jacob into bed, she whispered, "You're doing it, sweetheart. You're coming back to us." Max, as always, lay by his side. One paw gently rested on Jacob's tiny foot, as if anchoring him to the world. That same night, Anna had a dream. She was back in the hospital room. It was dimly lit, and Jacob lay motionless in his crib. A strange hush blanketed everything. Then she saw Max, glowing faintly, almost ethereal, walking up to Jacob and placing his nose gently on the baby's heart. Suddenly, light burst from Jacob's chest, illuminating the entire room. His limbs moved, his eyes opened, and he giggled. Anna awoke with a start, tears in her eyes. It wasn't just a dream. It was a sign. Max hadn't just been protecting Jacob. He had believed in him, when no one else did. One bright spring morning, something happened that changed everything. It was a Sunday. The house was filled with the scent of pancakes and sunshine beaming through the windows. Birds chirped outside, and Max sat by the window, occasionally glancing back at Jacob, who was playing on his soft mat with a cloth book. Eric was sipping coffee at the table when Anna called from the living room. "You need to see this." Eric rushed in. There, in the center of the room, stood Jacob, wobbling, unsupported, but standing. His arms stretched outward for balance, and in front of him sat Max, tail wagging, eyes locked with Jacob's like he was whispering, "You've got this, little one." Anna had her hands over her mouth, tears streaming. Eric froze, blinking, not sure if it was real. Then, one step. A tiny foot moved forward. Then another. Jacob took 3 full steps, then fell forward, straight into Max's waiting embrace. The dog steadied him gently with his shoulder, nudging him to safety. Anna let out a soft sob and knelt beside them, scooping Jacob into her arms. "You did it, baby. You did it." Eric joined them, kneeling, pressing his forehead to Jacob's. Max barked softly, a proud, joyful sound. From that moment, there was no stopping him. What began as unsteady steps became confident waddles, and soon, Jacob was running through the house with Max at his heels. One day, Anna decided to upload a short video of Jacob's first steps, with Max sitting in front of him like a furry coach. She didn't expect much, just a way to share joy with a few close friends. By nightfall, the video had over 2 million views. Comments poured in from around the world. "I'm crying. This dog is an angel. Faith restored in humanity. My child is disabled, and this gave me so much hope." News stations reached out. Articles were written. The local news crew visited to feature Jacob and Max's incredible bond. Max was honored by the mayor, awarded a special badge of bravery and compassion. Anna, always humble, simply said, "We didn't do anything. Max did." Jacob's recovery was miraculous. He could now walk, run, laugh, and play. While he still had regular therapy, his progress stunned doctors and therapists alike. Max never left his side. Even during naps, he'd rest beside Jacob's bed, occasionally poking his nose over the edge to check on him. And something beautiful happened. Jacob began to speak. His first word wasn't Mama or Dada. It was Max. Inspired by the journey, Anna and Eric founded a local therapy dog training center, naming it Paws of Hope. They shared their story in schools, hospitals, and conferences, teaching people not only about healing but about the role of love in that healing. Max became the poster pup for the movement, wearing his honorary service vest with quiet pride. He had done more than save a child. He had given hope to thousands. Years later, Jacob, now 7, stood on a small stage at a community event, with Max beside him, now older but still sharp. With a shy smile, he looked at the crowd and said, "When I couldn't walk, Max believed I could. When I was scared, Max stayed. He's not just my dog. He's my hero." The crowd erupted in applause. Max, ever humble, simply wagged his tail and leaned against Jacob's leg. If this story touched your heart, leave a paw print in the comments below. Share your own story of love, healing, or your loyal furry friend. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss another miracle. Because here, every story has a heartbeat.